Hello everyone. Let's start with a new topic, political thought, UGC political science, and first philosopher is Confucius. So Confucius lived between 551 and 479 BCE, and he was a philosopher of moral and ethical leadership. Then he was born during a time in China when the Chinese society was politically fragmented, warring states were there, and the social cohesion was declining. And in that scenario, Confucius sought to restore this order via revival of virtue, tradition, and ritual conduct. Finally, even though he did not leave any single written work behind, his dialogues and sayings were preserved by his disciple in the Analects. Now, the context of his philosophy. So, the teachings of Confucius might seem like sermons or like moral sermons, but they are not. They are political statements. And then his moral sermons were not abstract either. They were practical and context sensitive responses to that decaying time. और political context ये है, the Zhou dynasty of China at that time, it was declining, and this decline, it was unraveling the decaying moral fabric of Chinese society. There were power struggle, dynastic feuds, erosion of respect for authority and custom. And in response, and in order to revive the moral fabric, Confucius emphasized the importance of returning to the Tao, returning to the old way, the way which is the revival of ancient moral virtue. And his goal was not just to educate individual, but to transform the state through moral cultivation of its leaders. Like यहाँ पे शुरू में ही लिखा हुआ है, he believed that when the ruler is righteous, its subject, people will be righteous. When he is not, none will be. So, according to him, a ruler, a virtuous ruler, should rule through example, not through military might. Now, the core idea and political philosophy. The first, virtue-based leadership. Junji, Junzi, and they. So, at the heart of Confucian political theory lies the concept of Junzi, or the superior man. Superior man is the ideal political leader who governs not through fear or force, but through moral example and ethical excellence. And we have a parallel in our own Indian society, मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम, जो आइडियल मैन जो हिंदू सोसाइटी में, इंडियन सोसाइटी में सुपीरियर मैन का कहते हैं, that has a parallel in ancient society, Junzi. So this was the core of his first principle, and then he believed that legitimacy of a ruler, it does not stem from lineage or military strength. It flows from virtue, from good conduct. And he believed when rulers are virtuous, the subjects would naturally follow their lead. And this is a form of moral persuasion, or an exemplary rule whereby ruler the rule with by setting examples. Then governance, it is not just about policy, it is about character of society, character of people. And he praised the mythical sage king Yao not for his conquest but his benevolent rule and moral clarity. Now the second principle, social harmony through hierarchy and reciprocity. So he envisioned a society as a web of interrelated roles, and that society is governed by mutual respect, reciprocal duties, and moral responsibility. So he talked about hierarchy and reciprocity, just like role differentiation. जैसे इंडियन सोसाइटी में भी है, जो एंशियंट इंडियन सोसाइटी है, इट वाज क्लासिफाइड अकॉर्डिंग टू फोर वर्ण. दोज फोर वर्ण वर ऑक्यूपेशन बेस्ड क्लासिफिकेशन. यहाँ पे चार अलग अलग काम दिए हैं, and four of them, all the four groups, they are they depend on each other, interdependent, and that interdependence would exist only when they mutually respect each other's work. They are reciprocal duties, and each of them, they follow their own moral responsibility. और यहाँ भी same Confucian thought walk the same line. and he promoted a hierarchical yet harmonious structure of society. In society would be hierarchical, divisions would be there, someone would be at the upper scale, someone would be at the lower strata, but there would be harmony between them, balance between them, where each person had a defined role, role differentiation, task differentiation, and occupation based classification. And then the second concept, harmony, in Mandarin A, is not sameness but balance. Whereas each person or each group fulfill their role properly, and that role fulfillment, it would be guided not by any monetary reward or any kind of reward, not by greed, but by Ren. Ren means benevolence, by good conduct, by welfare, by altruism. Then, in the words of Confucian, critical stability is an extension of family ethics. So, this led to a famous Confucian idea that when you cultivate the self, this will regulate the family, there would be a good state, and this would bring peace to the world. Like a virtuous cycle. When the self is good, this would bring uh, happiness to the family. When family is happy, the society would be happy. When the society is good, then the state, it would find itself in a good state in terms of efficiency. So you can see the virtuous loop here, a positive feedback cycle here. Make yourself better, your family would be better. When family is better, society would be better. When society would be better, the state would be better, and there would be peace everywhere. Now, a scholarly insight. Here, philosopher Tu Wenmin called Confucianism a civil religion, a religion of people, which is not bound by theology but grounded in everyday moral obligation and sacredness of relationship, just like the philosophy of Gandhi. So, even though most of the Gandhi's idea they cross with many religious principles, yet Gandhi, he was a political man. His purpose was political. फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं. Third principle, ritual and custom, the fabric of order. So rather than codifying law or maintaining punitive justice, Confucius placed his faith in Li. Li means ritual propriety, social norms, and cultural custom. So according to him, social order and justice both will be sourced through social norms or social rituals. And that, according to him, are the true regulator of human behavior. And here, Lee includes everything from court ceremony to everyday etiquettes. It is not just about rigidity, but about cultivating a sense of appropriateness, self-discipline, and respect. Now, let me explain you. तो बहुत सारी जो ट्राइबल सोसाइटी है, they have their laws, they have their concept of justice, they have their morals, but those morals, those concept of law and justice, they are sourced via social norms, via social rituals, social customs. And in one way or another, if a society is bound by its social norms, if a society is living in a cohesion, or if it is about to live in a cohesion, क्योंकि वो फिर एक तरह से एक बाउंड्री हो जाती है, एक लिमिट हो जाती है कि उस लिमिट से बाहर सोसाइटी जा नहीं सकती. स्पेशली जो जितने भी एंशियंट रिलीजन्स हैं, लाइक इंडियन सोसाइटी की भी बात करते हैं, चाइनीज सोसाइटी, जो द ओरिएंट, जो ईस्टर्न हेमिस्फीयर में जितनी कंट्रीज हैं उनको ओरिएंट बोलता है. तो ओरिएंटल कंट्री जितनी भी हैं, इंडियन हो गई, चाइनीज सोसाइटी, कोरियन सोसाइटी, जापानीज सोसाइटी, all of them, they have lived in that social cohesion, that social organization. और वो social organization में अभी भी आप देखते हैं, most of the disputes, most of the resolution, most of the practices, they are sourced via social customs. तो ऐसे में Confucius, क्योंकि जो Confucius lived in a time around 550 BCE. तो उस टाइम पे तो सोसाइटी, इट वाज लिविंग लाइक यूनाइटेड एंड ऑर्गेनिक हो, उस टाइम तो कोड्स, आजकल की टेक्नोलॉजी वगैरह, आजकल की सोसाइटी वैसी थी नहीं, तो उस टाइम पे ही कुड ब्रिंग पीपल टुगेदर बाय बाइंडिंग देम विद सोशल कस्टम्स. So that's why उस टाइम पे ही टॉक अबाउट कि सोसाइटी को रेगुलेट करना है, देन वी शुड bring ritual propriety. Ritual propriety means the rituals, the custom, they should be practiced in an appropriate way. तो यहाँ पे ये जो लाइन है, इट इज अबाउट अप्रोप्रिएटनेस, कि जो जरूरी चीजें हैं, जो भी कस्टम्स हैं, अब कस्टम्स में सिर्फ रिलीजियस कस्टम्स, कल्चरल कस्टम, या फिर जो फेस्टिवल कस्टम्स है उनकी बात नहीं हो रही है. इट इज पार्ट ऑफ एवरीडे लाइफ, लाइक कोर्ट एटिकेट्स, कोर्ट सेरेमनी, एवरीडे एटिकेट. एवरीडे एटिकेट में जैसे हमारी इंडियन सोसाइटी भी कहती है कि खाना खाने से पहले किस तरह से हाथ धो के किस तरह से बैठना चाहिए, फिर उसके बाद किस तरह से खाना खाना चाहिए. तो ये छोटी छोटी चीज़ें जो हैं, दे ब्रिंग अबाउट अ सेंस ऑफ अप्रोप्रिएटनेस. और यही चीज़ें कन्फ्यूशियस ने कही. When things are, when etiquettes and social norms are appropriate, then they will bring self discipline. सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन होगा तो रेस्पेक्ट होगा, रेस्पेक्ट होगा, then the better the self, it will be better. The self better होगा तो family will be happy. Happy family would lead to a cohesive society. Cohesive society would lead to an efficient state. Then law, in Confucius way, it may prevent crime, but it cannot cultivate virtue. But ritual, by contrast, can shape behavior internally, fostering self-governance and social trust. So you can see here the way the idea or Confucian was traveling. So he wanted to change a person by inside. Just like Gandhi, he was talking about a virtuous man. कि इंसान को अंदर से चेंज करना है, to change the behavior of a person. तो यहाँ पे Confucius, he also talked the same thing, that if ritual propriety is there, if rituals, etiquettes are done, accomplished properly, then they can shape the internal behavior, they can change a man. Here, example, in the Analect, Confucius asserts if people are led by laws and punished by penalties, they will avoid punishment but have no shame. But if they are led by virtue and guided by ritual, then they will have a sense of shame and become upright. So it's about changing the inner shell. Now, the intersection of Confucian idea and the state, the moralization of politics. So Confucius did not advocate for democracy or individual rights in modern sense, but his political vision at that time was radically ethical. And according to him, the state is not a power structure, but a moral institution whose ultimate aim is not domination, but moral elevation of its people. So again, Confucian wanted to create a just society, a virtuous society. और उसमें the state का role था that it should set example and morally elevate people. Then, according to him, the political authority it should educate, uplift, and inspire people rather than coerce or exploit them. And then, leaders, according to him, are not entitled rulers, but they are moral stewards who are responsible for the well-being of the people by setting example, by being virtuous themselves. So, this idea makes Confucius a pioneer of soft governance. Soft governance is the idea that persuasion, culture, and morality can be more effective than law or violence in maintaining order. Now, the contemporary relevance, Confucius in 21st century. So, from being a relic of the past, Confucius have found a revival in modern Chinese politics under President Xi Jinping, who is presently the president of uh, China. So, Confucius revival under Xi Jinping. So the Chinese government it has re-embraced Confucian ethics, its cultural anchor in the face of modernization and Western liberal influence. And this might sound like a new political disguise, कि जो चाइनीज अथॉरिटीज हैं, they may be they may want to control their society by creating a new narrative, but thing is they have embraced Confucian idea in present times. Then there are many Confucian institutes across the globe that are part of China's soft power diplomacy. Soft power diplomacy is like डिप्लोमेसी तो आप जानते हैं कि दो नेशंस जो हैं इंटरनेशनल लैंडस्केप पे, दो नेशंस के बीच में जो भी इंटरेक्शंस होते हैं किसी भी एरिया में, चाहे वो ट्रेड हो, पॉलिसी हो, गवर्नेंस हो, मिलिट्री अफेयर्स हो, तो दोज रिलेशंस आर मेंटेन्ड बाय डिप्लोमेसी. एंड सॉफ्ट डिप्लोमेसी इज अ न्यू कंसेप्ट कि इसके अकॉर्डिंग जो डिप्लोमेसी हो, इट शुड नॉट बी डन बाय परमानेंट डिप्लोमेट्स अलोन. कुछ और चीज़ें भी हो सकती है that may increase the stature of any nation at the global scale. तो परमानेंट डिप्लोमेट्स के अलावा जो एवेन्यूज हैं उनमें से जैसे लाइक ट्रेड इनिशिएटिव है, कल्चर टू कल्चर इंटरेक्शंस हैं, ठीक है, फिर स्टूडेंट एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम है, बहुत सारे ऐसे लीवे हैं, देन कल्चरल एक्सचेंजेस हैं. तो ये सब जो चीज़ें हैं दे कम अंडर सॉफ्ट पावर डिप्लोमेसी. तो कन्फ्यूशन इंस्टीट्यूट ये भी एक तरह से न्यू मोड ऑफ सॉफ्ट पावर डिप्लोमेसी ऑफ चाइना. नाउ critics and debate. So some scholars argue that this is selective appropriation. Confucianism is invoked to support authoritarian stability. So like as I have said, जो present leadership है Chinese government की, the state of China, so this government it is considered authoritarian. Authoritarian means पावर जो है वो एक ही आदमी जो प्रेसिडेंट है, शी जिनपिंग है, उसी के हाथ में कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड है. नाउ it's like somebody is talking about rules, somebody is talking about justice by being unjust himself. तो सारी पावर कंट्रोल में है, नथिंग इज कमिंग आउट ऑफ चाइना, कोई न्यूज़ वगैरह वहाँ की नहीं आती. दे आर क्रिएटिंग अ डिफरेंट नैरेटिव टू द वर्ल्ड. और जो उनकी सोसाइटी है उस पर भी बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट कंट्रोल है. ऐसे में ड्यूरिंग दैट authoritarian tendencies, somebody wants to embrace Confucianism, somebody wants to talk about morality. So it's like a contradictory thing. तो अगेन ये भी एक क्रिटिसिज्म है कि प्रेजेंट टाइम में फर्स्ट जो कन्फ्यूशन आइडिया है, दे अपीयर मोर लाइक मॉरल साइमंस इवन इफ दे आर पॉलिटिकल, बट यस प्रेजेंट टाइम में कन्फ्यूशन आइडियाज we can take a cue from them, but they are not applicable, especially at the international level, at the global level. And the second criticism, others see in Confucius a resource for Asian value discourse. And this Asian value discourse means to talk about Asian values, to talk about Asian culture, Asian ancient cultures. And this discourse, it would be an alternative to Western liberal democracy. So this is it. Next topic में we are going to talk about Plato. और कुछ अगर छूट गया है, something that I might not have explained in a better way, आप पूछ सकते हैं. And this video is specially catered to UGC political science. UPSC में इसका कोई है नहीं इसका पैरेलल. तो UGC में जैसा आपका सिलेबस है और जैसे क्वेश्चंस हैं उसके अकॉर्डिंग इट इज catered. फिर भी something you want to ask, you can drop the comments and subscribe it that and support me. That's it.